Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Well, if you've been around my channel for any length of time, you know I like Archie comics. And as part of the Archie stuff was Riverdale, the Riverdale TV series. So we're going to take a look here at Riverdale, the Riverdale one-shot. This is from 2017. This came out probably shortly after the TV series premiered, or about the same time. This is Riverdale One Shot 2017. It's a prequel to the first episode of the TV series. It features 4 stories: Archie, Betty, Veronica, and Jughead. And they're all kind of intertwined. With writers Ryan Patterson, Britta London, James DeWill, and Will Ewing. And I'm unfamiliar with any of them, and I don't think they're regular comic writers. With art by Elliot Fernandez, what's his name? Jim Toe, Thomas Patilli, and Aletha Martinez were the artists involved. And this leads into the ongoing Riverdale comic series, which came out just a few months later. So I only got 1 or 2 of that, but it the both the one shot and the comic and ongoing series was produced by writers from the CW series. See, and that's why I'm unfamiliar with any of those writers, as well as the showrunner, who is Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who has been a familiar figure at Archie Comics. So the series is intended to fill in gaps in the TV stories, and the series ran for 12 issues. That, in this one shot, would make it 13 issues. And the cover illustration here is by Thomas Patilli, and it's a nice one, of course. And this is the series was inspired by the new Archie. You know, when they rebooted Archie with a more realistic stylization look, and a whole bunch of stuff. And if you're interested in the Archie stuff, just in general, I want to recommend listening to the Archie and Me podcast, which you can find. I have nothing to do with that. I just like to listen to it. Which you can just Google, and their site will come up, and you can listen right there. That's the way I do it, and I really enjoy it. And they talk about this Archie. I don't think they've talked much about Riverdale, but they talk about the more recent version of Archie. They do book reviews and interviews with writers and artists. So that's why I recommend it, and I enjoy listening to it. And also, if you're also like me, if you happen to be interested in old-time radio, Archie had a radio show. It was called Archie Andrews, a radio show in the late 40s, early 50s. And that is available for listening on YouTube. Just put in Archie Andrews old time radio show in the search bar, and come up with a bunch of them. and I've used it, some of the sounds from that in my videos before. So now we'll get into this Riverdale. Of course, Riverdale. I still haven't watched the whole series. I've got it on the DVR, and I've got about a season and a half to go. I've just been watching it slowly. I lost somewhere along there. I lost track. I didn't get to watch it on a regular basis. And even though the show's been off the air for what I think almost 3 seasons now, I'm still behind. But I found it interesting, and it started off interesting and dramatic, and went to the weird side. Yeah, the farther along it went, it got weirder, and I haven't even gotten to the weirdest stuff yet on the show. So here, it's some really nice illustrations, and they do resemble the actors. And as I said, it's got 4 stories, and all of this leads up to the events in the very first issue. It's in the summer. They take place here at Pops. Archie is remembering being in Pops with his friends, and he's wondering what the future holds. And he's got a job. You can see here, and he looks more like we're used to seeing him. He's kind of scrawny, kind of a klutz, as we're used to. But he goes to work at his father's construction company for the summer. And during the course of the summer, all this hard work, plus his hormones maturing him, he gets taller and he builds up a lot of muscle, so that as you can see here, the girls are going, "Oh, looking good, Archie," because here we can see how scrawny he is, and then here how buff he is. They even made a comment in the first issue. Betty lives next to Archie, and she and Kevin Keller were in Betty's room looking out the window across the way into Archie's bedroom, and there he was, like just out of the shower or something, with no shirt on, and they both would go, "Oh, look, Archie got abs. He sure filled out. He sure got buff over the summer," and stuff like that. So now here, and Archie here is thinking about his, we're just getting some of Archie's backstory. His parents are separated, if not fully divorced yet. And he learns about his dad's days as in a band, and finds his old guitar, and his dad had got him a guitar. And Miss Grundy, of course, this is not the old-fashioned old lady Miss Grundy that we know from the classic comics. No, this is a young, hot Miss Grundy, who and she and Archie starts doing naughty things that teenagers should not do with their teachers, and teachers should never ever encourage with their students. And with Jughead here doing some writing at Pops and stuff, and they set up something to do on the 4th of July, when he gets talked out of that to have a picnic with Miss Grundy. Of course, in the show, we later find out that this Miss Grundy, her name is not really Miss Grundy. I don't remember the reason she was using an assumed name. When this came to light, she was fired, and this affair came to light, she was fired. And it turns out she is not Miss Grundy. And of course, when they showed the picture of the actual Miss Grundy on the computer screen, she looked more like the Miss Grundy we know and love from the regular comics. Well, here they are out by Sweetwater. Was it Sweetwater Lake or River? I don't remember. On the 4th of July, when he's supposed to be doing something with Jughead, but he has forgotten. And that's when we hear the gunshot. Blam! And then the cops, and we find out that Jason Blossom is dead, and that's basically where that goes. And Then, yeah, and then he gets a note, from Betty, Betty has been out of town for the whole summer, and so he and Betty meet up. Here it is, to be continued. Yep, to be continued. Here we have the Betty's story, Summer Nights, which goes back to the beginning of summer with Betty and her sister, and Betty got an internship at some publication in California. So she spent the summer in California, in Sacramento, I guess it was. So this is all about her summer there, how she met a guy who she kind of liked and went out on a date, and he tried to do stuff she didn't want to do, and stuff like that. But it was good. A good experience for her, and she found a place that reminded her of Pop's, and so she was there, had a good time. Then she came home at the chocolate shop where she was going to run into Archie, then Veronica. Now, if you remember, Veronica was introduced in the first episode. She lived in New York, in Manhattan, at the Dakota. Now, if you don't, Dakota is a famous, very upscale apartment complex. It's where John Lennon lived, and he was murdered just out in front of the Dakota. That tells you where it starts, where it takes place. Fall from Grace, where the Lodge family lives there. And of course, this is when we're starting to find out that Hiram Lodge is getting at a big party. He gets arrested, and because he's a crook, he's a gangster, but we don't really know that yet, and how she is saddened, and because of those events, they start losing everything, and Hermione and Veronica have to go back to Riverdale to live at their most upscale place there, which is not going to be that much, and it's written a lot like the dialogue, a lot like a TV show and stuff. How they had to sell the yacht and everything like that. And of course, Veronica has never been to Riverdale, but Riverdale is where Hiram and Hermione are from. Well, they've had to basically go home. There she is talking with her dad, who is in jail. And then there she goes, heading to Riverdale. Then it concludes with Jughead. And it was a dark and stormy night, and it's Jughead sitting there with his laptop in Pop's, as he starts doing some of his trying to get going on the writing, how he got a part-time job at the movie theater, how he had problems at home, and he wound up living in the back room at the theater while his parents were going through whatever the problems that was, and how he and here it covers where he and Archie made plans for the 4th of July to do stuff like they did when they were younger, and Archie ghosts him, and so Jughead isn't happy about that. And of course, it's a lot of reminiscing. Everyone is reminiscing about wondering when things happen, because this is where, up until this point, Riverdale was the town with pep. Then, at the beginning of the series and the death of Jason Blossom, that's when all hell starts to break loose in Riverdale. And Betty's father is a serial killer. They wind up having the what was it? The Goblin King? Is that what he was? All kinds of murders and weird stuff going on. Then here's just some ads for some other stuff. And it's an enjoyable read to give you a little bit of the backstory leading up to the beginning of the Riverdale TV series. Now, you may not, and I'm sure probably most of the people who watch my channel are not Riverdale fans. I happen to like Riverdale, but I'm not a purist. I love the classic Archie. I like the newer Archie. I enjoyed the Riverdale series for what it was, and with tongue planted firmly in cheek. But this will always be my favorite Archie. And of course, and actually it's Jughead and Sabrina over here who are my favorites from the Archie series. So that's all I had to share with you this time. I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your comments down below. Tell me what you thought of the Riverdale TV series. Did you read any of the Riverdale comic books? They even had a classic Archie and Riverdale Archie crossover in the comics. Now that isn't weird. Stuff like that. And which interpretation of Archie? You got the classic, you got the newer one, you got the new look. You got Archie clear back to the 40s. So all that. Let me know in the comments down below. And remember, comics are art.